iHeart SoCal, putting a spotlight on charitable organizations, nonprofits, and people giving back.
Guys, welcome back to iHeart SoCal. My name is EJ, and on the phone I have some special guests. Guys, do me the honors and introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, my name is Vianney Bernabe, and I'm here with my colleague Carolina, and we're here with CORE, Community Organized Relief Effort.
Guys, it is a pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by. I feel like you guys do some amazing work. Tell us about CORE.
Yeah, of course. Hey guys, this is Carolina speaking. Again, we're here with Community Organized Relief Effort, CORE. We're a global nonprofit based here in the Chinatown area of Los Angeles. And today we're here to talk to you about our mental health campaign, Mind Your Mind, which we've launched in association with Kalmar Counseling Center.
Can I just say it is so important, especially right now, that we are making sure that we are taking care of our mental health, because I feel like there are so many things that's being thrown at us right now from life, things in the world. And I feel like it is important to make sure that our mental health is taken care of.
We definitely second that. And especially among young people here, it's so important to talk about mental health, to normalize these conversations, and for campaigns like this to exist to really elevate their voices.
Why do you feel like it's taboo to talk about mental health still?
You know, I think we're witnessing a change within this younger generation, but even then, I think that there are just obstacles in talking about mental health because we feel like we're a burden to somebody else. I think we've had lots of conversation with young people where they say, hey, I would love to be there for a friend, but when it comes to themselves and being vulnerable and talking about their own mental health, sometimes that can be really hard. It can be really challenging to talk about tough moments. And that's why, you know, having these conversations and this transparency is really important to make everyone realize that everyone is going through something. And even if they're not, it's always good to be a helping hand or to have a community to talk about these issues with.
Absolutely. Because the one thing that I realized when you do talk about it, you realize that you're not necessarily going through it alone.
Exactly. And, you know, at the core of our messaging is that you're not alone. And there are campaigns that the state of California, the Department of Mental Health, has orchestrated, which are designed to, you know, help youth understand that very fact, that you are never a bother, that you're not alone, and that it's important to take space to pause and talk about these topics.
Absolutely. So tell us more about the Child Youth Behavioral Health Initiative.
Yeah, so California has launched the Child Youth Behavioral Health Initiative under the Department of Public Health. This includes the launch of 2 statewide campaigns, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Never a Bother and Take Space to Pause, which is specifically a stigma reduction campaign. These campaigns also support the local work of over 28 local level grantees like Mind Your Mind, which is the campaign organized through CORE.
How can people, I guess, utilize some of these services?
Of course, yeah. So, you know, the youth that created our campaign, Mind Your Mind, our youth advisory board, they have decided to air the campaign through a few different platforms. First, they've created a podcast, the Mind Your Mind podcast, which is aired on YouTube and Spotify. You can find us through our website, coresponse.org/thrive. coresponse.org/thrive. And they've also launched a social media campaign through Instagram and TikTok. Our handle is @mindyourmind_Cal. That's @mindyourmind_Cal, where we also have the opportunity. We're currently recruiting for a new round of our youth advisory board. So if anyone out there knows a 14 to 17-year-old who's interested in making change within this space around the LA County area, please have them check us out.
You said 14 to 17-year-old.
Yes.
And how can people find out the information to check you guys out?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, coresponse.org/thrive, or @mindyourmind_Cal on Instagram.
Do us a favor and tell us the backstory of CORE.
Yeah, so CORE was founded in 2010 after the devastating earthquake in Haiti by actor Sean Penn and our CEO, Ann Lee, to help support the thousands of people that were in critical need of support. Since then, CORE has expanded our mission to bring community-focused relief to underserved populations across the globe. We have 3 main pillars: emergency response, climate resilience, and health access. The Mind Your Mind campaign falls under our 3rd pillar, which actually came to be during the COVID-19 pandemic, you might know us. We ran the COVID testing site over at Dodger Stadium, and that's how we really got our foot in the door in the space of public health.
You know what's interesting? It's playing back in my mind. I see the CORE and the wow right under our noses, guys.
Yeah, we're right here in our backyard here in Los Angeles. We're here in Chinatown. Definitely, we want to encourage everyone to check us out and see all the amazing work that our team contributes.
Why do you think CORE is super important for the community?
CORE is important because we center community. We believe that, change happens through empowered communities. We mobilize change through communities. And so we don't just come into communities and dictate what they need. We listen to the needs of communities and stand by them and have them direct the change. And I think that's why CORE is such a pivotal part of creating change in areas where it's needed.
Especially, it's interesting because you talk about how CORE came together in 2020, and I feel like everyone was struggling with some sort of just mental distress, being as though everything was going on in the world. We didn't know what it was going to end. We were isolated by ourselves. So it was very important to make sure that you guys had this program during that period, yes?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, the pandemic elevated a lot of mental health issues, and that's why we're here today with our Mind Your Mind mental health campaign, especially among young people and their parents and guardians. We want to make sure that everyone knows that there are resources out there for them and that, we can have these conversations.
Speaking of the younger generation, why is it important to address this with the younger audience?
Yeah, I think, they're our future, and I think they're a key part of, continuing to create change. They have insane, vast networks that they can connect to. And, even with our experience through the Youth Advisory Board, we've just seen how talented and passionate this generation is about impacting change. And so I think it's incredibly important to give them the space that they deserve to have their voices elevated and empower change, through their amazing guidance.
Why are change campaigns a good tool to address youth mental health?
Change campaigns are an amazing tool to address mental health because they allow for a large visibility and reach audiences across all demographics, parents, guardians, youth, community members. I think they encompass really a reach that would be very hard to come across otherwise.
Do me a favor and talk about the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative.
Yeah, so the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative, again, was started by the Department of Public Health. It's an initiative that focuses on behavioral health and really centering the voices of youth when it comes to speaking about mental health. It includes, again, the launch of the 2 statewide campaigns, Take Space to Pause and Never a Bother. And these are across all of California, while also supporting local level change campaigns across all of California that, really center the needs of individual communities. The needs of Los Angeles County might differ to those of, Sacramento County. And I think that was also something that the CYBHI initiative took into account. There are organizations who locally understand the needs of their communities, and that's where CORE comes in with our, understanding of Los Angeles. So with our headquarters here in Los Angeles, we are able to elevate voices here locally.
So for people that are just tuning in, how are you addressing mental health issues within the younger audiences? Yeah,
so, it all starts with our Youth Advisory Board. They are a group of 13 incredibly diverse and amazing individuals based all around Los Angeles County. They've come together to create the Mind Your Mind campaign. Through months and months of planning, they decided again to launch the podcast, to create a social media change campaign. And truly, they've just, centered this conversation. They've opened themselves up to talking about issues like body image, depression and anxiety, neurodiversity, and they really fed into our primary objectives, which are reducing mental health stigma, changing or redefining what mental health means, promoting help-seeking behaviors, and spreading awareness of critical resource information. They've done all of that through the podcast. And, we really feel that they've made an impact with their stories, and storytelling can be such an amazing tool to spread awareness, and that's exactly what they've done and what they'll continue to do.
Can I just say that it is so important to talk about mental health? I feel like when I was in school, no one really talked about anxiety or mental health or things of the like. And I remember struggling by myself with anxiety, about to do a test or about to give a speech or just whatever the fact, just being a high school student, having this anxiety, and I felt like I had no one to talk to about it. So I'm so happy that people have resources right now to talk about how they're feeling, and also anxiety, or just, sometimes you have those days where you're just not feeling it. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that you guys are doing this.
Yeah, and again, it all comes down to our youth. They're really, at the end of the day, the stars of this entire initiative across all of California. There are many local level change campaigns going on, and especially here through our Mind Your Mind campaign, there are superstars, and they've really opened themselves up to having these conversations. So this wouldn't be happening without them. So definitely want to give them, kudos. But yeah, we're really excited to see where this continues to go, and to continue to elevate their voices and have this conversation about mental health, which is still incredibly relevant to this day.
I know the answer to this, but for people that are listening and don't know, why is it so important to bring the guardians and the parents into the conversation too?
Yeah, it's incredibly important to include parents and guardians in these conversations, because it all really starts at home. Parents provide their children with a blueprint for managing their mental health. However, they're not always granted access to information or resources, whether that be within their own life experiences or from the world, that can support guiding these subject matters. And what we're doing to address this is to create parent-guardian workshops that are hosted through our own in-house or through our partnership with Calmora and the licensed therapists who work as a part of that clinic.
You know what's interesting? I came up in a household, and I feel like a lot of people have come up in these households where they feel like anxiety is not real. Mental health is not real. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you guys are letting the parents into the conversation, to talk about these things, I think is simply amazing. Because I feel like there are a lot of people out there that think that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, the conversation starts at home. Many kids, they might talk about mental health with counselors at school, but really they need to see these conversations happening from, role models like parents and guardians. And I think that, slowly we're moving towards exposing parents and guardians to this sort of conversation. It can feel very daunting as a parent, I'm sure. To have these conversations with their young ones, it's very intimidating. It can feel scary. And we also want parents to feel empowered to start with their own mental health journey. You can't take care of others without taking care of yourself. And if, I think there is so much to learn for a child when they see their parent taking care of their own mental health. So, it all really goes back to self-care, thinking about your own mental health, and, taking that leap of faith, having that difficult conversation with a child, but a conversation that would be well worth it.
Leading by example. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Where can people find more information to reach out and use these services?
Yeah, so you could either reach out to us through our website, coresponse.org/thrive. Again, that's coresponse.org/thrive, or through our Instagram at mindyourmind_Cal.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about something that I find extremely important, mental health. And hopefully somebody can walk away feeling like they are not alone in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us on. We appreciate it.
You're listening to iHeart SoCal on 102.7 KISS FM, a program on literacy, education, and social impact.